Hey, good morning. Welcome in and welcome back, everybody. My name is Laura. I'm a twin flame coach, twin flame guide, twin flame astrologer, and twin flame reader. And today we are going to dig deep into the energies of this Aries full moon. This is a super full moon, and we do have to kind of go back before we can go forward. And so there is a lot to unpack here today, talking about this energy. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below so you never miss an update. But first, let's talk about this full moon in Aries. This is a super full moon, and I do feel this is kind of culminating the eclipse energies that we've been sitting in for about the last month. I'm going to have it pulled right up here on the screen for you to see what I'm looking at. And so we have this full moon taking place at 14 degrees 08, which is carrying with it the archetypal energies of the Temperance card and the Strength card. And so below the surface, there is this fiery energy at play. And we do see this full moon sitting in the 10th house in Pisces at 19 degrees 57. And so there is an undertone of the sun reversed and the Three of Swords. And in opposition, of course, we're always going to have the sun in opposition to the full moon. And we do see the sun in Libra sitting there in the 4th house. And Venus is also joining the sun in Libra in the 4th house. And so there is a major completion energy here happening today, okay? We also just had Mercury ingress into Scorpio. And we see that sitting there in the 5th house at 0 degrees orb 41. There is a very, very prominent Ace of Cups reversed energies at play with this full moon today. And this full moon is pretty much unaspected other than the square energy between the 1st house and the 7th house. And so there's this tension building that is kind of going to reach its peak under this full moon. And so full moons come into illuminate. And so there's an illumination between the house of self and the house of relationships, and between the house of our public recognition or our public career and our deep-seated family roots. And so the sun is kind of shining a light on patterns here. And this is like an alchemized pattern connected to Virgo and Libra. So we're kind of working with the two signs, and signs that are beside one another often don't really understand one another. And so there's a completion energy with Venus. And so where do you need to kind of dig deep here to unearth a pattern maybe of addictions or patterns of, you know, power and control within relationships within the home front because of the strength energy coming through? And then in the 10th house in opposition, we do see Neptune and Saturn inside that 10th house, and we have the North Node kind of just on the cusp in the 9th house. So there's an activation here of going deep into some subconscious patterns, and this is going to be connected to our spirituality. And so there is like a hidden new beginning here. And with Saturn and Neptune in that retrograde motion, we're kind of going back. We're going back looking at something. We also have Chiron, the wounded healer, retrograde also in that 10th house. And so there is maybe a core wound being triggered, connected to being seen in the public eye with our spiritual gifts. And with Neptune still at that 0 degrees and orb 23, there is a very prominent King of Wands reversed energy coming through today. And so this all kind of ties back to a major energy shift that we had back in 2020. If you can see the 1st house there and the 7th house, so we get the Cancer opposite Capricorn energies happening between the 1st and the 7th house at 12 degrees 21. And so whenever I see that mirroring energy of 1221, it takes me back. It takes me back to the grand conjunction that happened on 12/21 back in 2020. And so this was a very notable celestial event, which really catapulted my astrological journey full steam ahead. And so the culmination of that is kind of happening under the full moon, because I am launching my brand new astrology mentorship membership program. It is live right now on the webpage. The first membership lesson will take place this Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. So there's going to be a link down below in the description box, because it is live now for you to join the membership. And this is going to be a place of growth, of learning, taking astrology and applying it into our day-to-day life. And we're going to advance as the classes advance. We're going to advance with applying it with all of these current transits down the road. We're going to start with the basics. So if you're new to astrology, this is the perfect time to join in on this membership. And if you are familiar with astrology, it's still the perfect time, because it will serve as a refresher as we dig deeper into the lessons that I have mapped out for the first several years of this membership. But back to the 1221 energy. That celestial event was very important because it was between Jupiter and Saturn. And both of those energies at the time were in Aquarius at 0 degrees 29. And so we began a brand new Jupiter and Saturnian cycle. And now we have Pluto retrograde in Aquarius in the early degrees at 1 degree 22 at the time of this full moon. And so that is the manifestation of the new beginning that we've been clearing energies for all the way back to that 1221 portal of 2020. And so we do see Pluto there sitting just inside the cusp of the 8th house, which is the house of death, the house of transformation, the house of intimacy, the house of shared resources. And so there is a brand new beginning here. It's just right there on the cusp, because the 8th house starts at 1 degree 22. And so here we are on the precipice of a brand new cycle. And so there is something very significant that we kind of need to hone in on here. And I do feel this does tie back into the last new moon in Aries, which was also a solar eclipse. And so I do feel it's significant to talk about this, because the solar eclipse in Aries took place on March 29. So 29 is also a very significant karmic number. And so with Pluto retrograde, we're kind of going back. We're going back and we're reevaluating the transformations that we've gone through on this awakening journey. I know most of you have been following me for several years. My awakening, my spontaneous Kundalini awakening happened in the spring of 2019. So I've been on this twin flame awakening journey since then. And the journey started with numerology. It then led to the tarot, and the tarot led to astrology. And the astrology then further led me down the path of studying human design and alchemizing all of these divinity tools into one spiritual practice for my business and for the channel. And so if we look back to March 29, 2025, look back to March, what was happening in your life 6 months ago in the month of March. And so for me, I planted seeds to step into my most authentic self. That new moon eclipse took place in my first house. I'm a first house Pisces. Took place in my first house. And this full moon is actually still sitting in my first house, even though I'm a second house Aries. My second house starts at like 26 degrees in Aries, so it's a later degree start. And so we had this new moon eclipse back in March on the 29th of 2025 at 8 degrees 59 is where the sun was sitting at, and the moon was sitting at 8 degrees 53. So strength energy very much at play here, right? And 59, key 59 in the tarot is linked to the 5 of Swords. And key 53 in the tarot is linked to the Knight of Swords. And so there was probably a shift, a very rapid shift. And this could have exposed manipulation. And because we're talking about Aries energy, this is the house of self. Back in March, we also had Mercury in Aries at 0 degrees 28. And so there was a master energy at play. And now the culmination of that. So look back to what seeds you planted in March, what you decided to kind of eclipse out of your life that was a block for you stepping into your most authentic self. And what is this going to culminate today under this full moon? Because we've been in a massive clearing portal connected to the Virgo and the Pisces archetypes, connected to the North and the South node. And so I do feel there's a lot happening here, because we're kind of now in preparation, because we've gone through the fall equinox portal for the winter solstice happening this year. And so there is, I want to say, like a deep-seated wound that would have been activated 6 months ago, connected to patterns, connected to addictions, connected to codependencies, and the releasing of that. Because the actual new moon took place at exactly 9 degrees, the energy of the Hermit. And if I'm correct, I do believe we had a significant transit at exactly 9 degrees recently. And so looking at all of this energy, I feel there is a significant shift connected to the twins, because they keep showing me the Lovers card with the Hierophant. And so the Lovers it does represent deep spiritual connection. It does represent divine counterpart union. And right now we're in a divinely guided energy of bringing these unions into fruition. So let's get back to this full moon in Aries energy right now. So we do see this energy, I feel, at play with Jupiter in the first house, expanding the need for the masculine to move forward. So we've got this grand square at play between the first and the 7th house and the 10th and the 4th house, because of the opposition between the sun and the moon. And so these are all cardinal placements. These are all energies indicating leadership. And with Mercury recently ingressing into Scorpio in that 5th house, there is this pebble in the shoe energy, right? That niggling feeling, because we've got Mercury in a quincunx pattern to Uranus retrograde in Gemini and to the anti-vertex in Taurus at 29 degrees. And so there's some deep masculine shadow work here at play, connected to societal expectations, connected to social group settings. And there is what I feel is an activation of the masculine collective, the awakening, the great awakening. And with Mercury also in a square to Pluto, this is creating a very tense, challenging energy where the masculine is being asked to embrace that death. And there's like a big energy, I want to say, coming through today of disillusionment. So this is the culmination point of the release, I want to say, and the awakening of the masculine. Because with Chiron sitting at 25 degrees 2021, this is the completion of the cycles of the masculines in that Knight of Wands archetype energy, where they are lusting after, you know, external validation, lusting after multiple connections to feed their ego, to make them feel of importance. And there could be a significant energy here of like public exposure that the masculine is going through. And I do feel, like I said, that hidden rebirth, or that hidden transformation going on behind the scenes that we can't quite see yet in the forefront. And so this is where the feminine is needing to lean into trust and needing to really go within, because I feel the feminine is coming into that most authentic expression of self. And this is then creating the energy of the fall, because I feel if we look back to that grand conjunction on the 1221 portal in 2020, the masculine has been stuck in that cycle since then, because there was an unusual alignment there that really, I feel, activated that union point, and there's been resistance ever since. So with that being said, let's go a little bit deeper with some oracle and some tarot messages. If you are curious to learn a little bit more about your birth chart, I do have a free PDF downloadable guide. Comment down below, free guide, and I will send you the link to download the free guide to the basics of your birth chart if you're not quite ready to join the membership. And down below there will also be a link to my webpage, because I do offer several different reading scales if you are ready to level up your twin flame journey or look into some coaching or readings. Check it out down below. But let's dig in with these cards and let's see what the cards have to say today. All right, let's break down these cards because the message is pretty clear. Everything that I talked about in the astrology is just being reaffirmed through the energy in the cards today. So the first card out is the third eye activation card. And so if you don't know where the third eye is, the third eye is right here. It's considered the Anja. This is where we receive divine insights, divine ideas through the crown chakra. And so right now there is an activation in the collective of this very strong inner vision, where I do feel the masculine is seeing things clearly, because below the third eye activation is the Knight of Swords, followed by the King of Pentacles in reverse and the Emperor in reverse. And so the deck that I use, the Tarot of Mystical Moments, it does have two Emperor cards. So one came out in reversed, and this is the narcissistic Emperor card, where the shadow masculine has all of these people dancing like puppets on a string. And right beside the Emperor in reverse does come out the divine masculine after a period of growth and expansion. So I just wanted to mention that. So right now, the masculine is seeing things clearly. And so interesting too that the Knight of Swords card did come out, because this was connected. This archetype was connected to the new moon solar eclipse in Aries back in March. And so I do feel there was a severing of ties connected to the divine masculine back in March, or something that was said that could not be unsaid to break him free. So the second card out is the Akashic Stargate card. If you recall on the cut, it was a card that did appear on the cut of the deck. And so right now we are walking through an Akashic Stargate portal of energies, where we are aligning with our purpose, we are aligning with our path, and we are at this pivotal crossroads moment is really what this is telling me. And so ultimately there is no wrong path. All paths lead us right back home to the union of self and lead us right back to this counterpart union. So whether we go towards soulmate connections while in separation, or we get led astray, all paths will lead us right back home. So there really is no wrong path. There are divinely guided detours though along the way. And so we kind of see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 portal gateways. So that does signify to me going back and walking through the transitionary portals throughout about the last 5 years. Because if we talked about, like when we talked about that grand conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn, that was 5 years ago. And so the last 5 years has been a series of walking through portals, realigning with purpose, getting grounded in a deeper sense of purpose. And right now, the twins are at that divine why. They are at that crossroads moment. And we are walking through this stellar gateway activation. And so there is infinite potential right now. And I do feel there is this energy creating like this manifestation vortex, where we have an ability to clear all of this energetic karma, all of the physical karma, and we can finally rewrite our twin flame story. But it does require us to get grounded and to live in truth. And so I do feel right now there's a lot of clarity coming through. There's a lot of divine healing in the energies under this full moon, because we are kind of anchoring in this higher vibrational energy, and we are going through a deeper light body activation so we can ground in that crystalline light body. So let's talk about the tarot, because the top row we do have the Knight of Swords, followed by the Seven of Wands in reverse. I love the Seven of Wands card. And so it's like breaking out of the cages, breaking out of the societal imposed expectations. And I do feel this is a strong message connected to the masculine collective. And then we go right into the Two of Cups in reverse. And so untangling something here. We see like the twisting of vines. We see twins on the card. And so I feel the masculine, since that new moon eclipse in Aries in March, has been trying to break free from some type of entanglement connected to a false twin counterpart union, because the Two of Cups in reverse is the separation, and the top row for me is always recent past. So, and I'm going to say in the past, about 6 months ago, there was a breaking free, but this connection also served a purpose for the masculine to teach him how to uncage his heart, to teach him how to open up to emotional intimacy, right? And so the karmic soul connections do serve a very high purpose for the twins, because they teach us valuable lessons that we can't learn in union with the counterpart, right? And so we do see the tattoo of love on the chest here. And so a lot of the masculines kind of cage themselves in, and they kind of cage up their heart. And so I do feel there's probably been a lot of, I'm going to say, combative communication, a lot of honest communication, a lot of rewiring the patterns while going through the separation of that false counterpart union that the masculine has been in. So let's talk about this middle row, because the King of Pentacles in reversed came through. And beside that, we do get the Hermit card, which is the central energy of the reading today, the Hermit, and then followed by the Five of Wands. And so I feel this Five of Wands is really saying the masculine has really struggled with taking that next move, or making the next move. Whenever I think of chess, I think of like checkmate, right? And so I do feel the masculines have really struggled leaving that connection behind, due to the enmeshment of their finances, due to the material comforts that that connection kind of brought him. And so there's been resistance, I feel, to stepping into this leadership path. And we do see the Three Pentacles. And so there's something about clearing karma connected to 3 generations back. And I do feel in timing of years, the last 3 years, the masculine has really struggled with releasing the old mindset connected to his worth and his value, and connecting that to the material world and things, right? And filling that void with things. But I love that the Hermit card came out as the central energy, because we see this beautiful lighthouse tower. We see this beautiful mermaid energy sitting on top of the lighthouse. And I feel that represents the divine feminine. The divine feminine shining her light. She's not going out chasing anybody, right? And so you think of a lighthouse, it shines a light for all of the ships out on the ocean, which serves as a metaphor for those on the awakening path out in the collective, right? The feminine shines a light. She doesn't go chasing people down. She just shines that light, and she draws people into her energy, into her vortex. And we see a couple of ships coming in here, right? And it kind of looks like she's sitting on top of a globe. It looks like on top of the world. And I feel the time is now. We also see the 3 birds. So 3 is significant right now. 3 is the energy of creation. It is the energy of the Empress. And so I feel the masculine is finally seeing the light. And I also feel the masculine has really been going through a process of re-identification of self, as we've kind of cleared a lot of energies connected to the Virgo South Node recently in the astrological transits. And so there is still a struggle here about what move should he make next. And I do feel that strongly. Or also this energy too of not sure, of him not being sure of what move the feminine is going to be making next. And so there is this need to just be still. I feel the feminine is being called to just be still in that Hermit energy. The Hermit holds wisdom. The Hermit also is an energy of solitude. And so when we go into the bottom row, there is a script here flipping. We go from the distorted masculine into the divine masculine energy. And this is just beautiful energy, indicating where the masculine has been, what they have been struggling with. And I do think a lot of the struggle has been with communication, or even over analysis paralysis. So not being able to receive the messages from the divine, because we see this woman floating on a white feather, and feathers to me are messengers from the spiritual realm. And there is a rising here. There's growth. The masculine has learned through that status quo. The masculine has learned to open up his heart and to step into true benevolent leadership. And where is this heading with the 3 of Wands in reverse? This just feels like the wait is over. There's that manifestation. So the wait is finally over, and there's like this energy of combing through all of those braids of lies and getting to the heart of the matter. And underneath there is a brand new beginning here, because the Fool was on the bottom of the deck. And so there is a brand new beginning here. And this card always makes me think of Pan and Hook. with the crocodile below. And so something about timing, divine timing is saying the time is now to take that leap of faith. And I do feel there is an offer coming, because we see this beautiful yellow flower being offered to this woman who has been receiving messages from the divine. And there is this realignment taking place under the full moon in Aries. And we're being asked to rise above the mundane. We're being asked to rise above the societal expectations of how we have always done things. Because she's rising above all of these tall buildings. You think of a big city, the hustle and bustle of a big city. And so there's like a realignment here after a juggling of some sort. And we're going right into healing. So there's a lot of healing being offered under this full moon in Aries. But first we do have to recognize the patterns that hold us back with the moon. And so there's still something very hidden coming to light. This full moon is going to illuminate the codependencies that still need to be cleared. Whenever I see the octopus tentacles, I do equate that to addictions, codependency, something very grasping or grabbing, trying to pull you back. And there's a need to release that. And so we do have to carry the burden of the awakening in order to grow, in order to bloom. And I do feel there is a lot of healing being offered. Very interesting. Same type of energy coming through. I'm going to stop at the Four of Swords on the bottom of the deck. And so there could have been a very abrupt ending, or there will be an abrupt ending that should have taken place 6 months ago, give or take. And now we're in that place of healing. And so the masculine might have been trying to claw his way out of a very destructive cycle. And now there's this energy of resting. And so there might not be communication right away. There might not be that brand new beginning right away, because all of these pages now are coming out in reversed, because the masculine is going through a heart chakra activation. And there's going to be the purging energy. And so I do feel there is a major separation that the masculine is going through. And he's going to have to clear that. He's going to have to go through that purification to get to the other side, because he's right in the throes of that karmic board clearing. And so the final messages today was Archangel Gabriel's dragon, which is bringing forward the purification. And so there is purification here, and it will require self-discipline. Self-discipline, divine feminine, will always speed up and accelerate the ascension process and bring you into union quicker. And I do feel that's what the South Node in Virgo has been asking us, is to harness self-discipline, all with the North Node energy of surrender. And so Archangel Gabriel is working with the twins. They're showing me a diamond. There could be an offer on the table. There could be a proposal of some sort. And I do feel we're kind of transforming, right? We go through this ascension process, and it brings us to a deeper sense of spiritual growth and spiritual knowledge. And we're kind of grounding that into pure wisdom in these energies. And the twins do come from Orion starseed constellation. That is the originator of duality, is Orion. That is where the galactic wars begin, was in the Orion constellation. And when I think of the pure white dragon, it is this energy of purification as well. And so right now we've got to really still process everything that we know, and then we have to bring that forward in our actions with truth, honesty, and integrity. And so right now the feminine, I feel, is allowing her wings of light to spread, her wings of light to grow, because we are in a massive portal of expansion, and we are being connected to the highest Christ light under this full moon in Aries. And that's what the twins came here to ground in, was the Christ conscious vibration of compassion. And so really work on developing that causal chakra over the coming days, because we are kind of right now collectively bathing in that 9th dimensional Christed light, the light codes. And we do have to get grounded so we can create that foundation for new growth, for the new earth collective, because there is a fresh start coming. There is a fresh start coming, and there's going to be a lot of new opportunities, doorways opening up. So nurture any ideas that are coming in with that third eye activation, because we are about to harvest a massive amount of abundance. And so we're kind of clearing all of the 5th dimensional ley lines right now. And it really is time for service. So if you've been holding back from your service mission, if you've been holding back from giving and sharing the information that you've been receiving, now is the time to step into leadership. Now is the time to honor your service mission. And if you are curious about that too, then don't hesitate to book a reading with me down below, because we can get that North Node path activated. And the membership, I gotta say, is the perfect price point to take astrology, learn it, and apply it to your day-to-day life to activate your mission to the fullest degree. And that's what I have for a message today. So if you'd like to go further, check out the links down below. Otherwise, I will see you all again next time.